In the heart of a green and quiet village called Imwaka, there once lived a little girl named Azine. Her name meant goodness, and truly, she was full of it. Gentle as the morning breeze, humble as the just on the village path, and bright like the first sun that rises after rain. But Azine's life was not always filled with joy. Her parents, who had loved her dearly, died when she was still very young. Her father was a palm wine tapper, strong and cheerful, and her mother was known for her sweet songs that could make even the birds stop and listen. When they both passed away, the whole village mourned, but no one mourned more than Azine. After their burial, her father's younger sister, Auntie Nwanyama, agreed to take her in. Everyone thought that Azine would live well there, for her auntie had a large compound, 3 daughters, and a husband who worked as a cocoa trader. But life in Auntie Nwanyama's house was not the life Azine had known. From the first day she arrived, Azine realized she was not going to be treated like one of her auntie's children. Her cousins, Negozi, Adeze, and Amara, were always neatly dressed, fed with hot food, and sent to the community school. But Azine was given the old torn wrapper of her late mother, leftover food from the night before, and endless chores that stretched from sunrise to moonlight. Every morning, before the rooster's second crow, Azine would fetch water, sweep the entire compound, wash plates, and then go to the farm with her auntie. Even when her small hands trembled from tiredness, she would smile and say, "Thank you, Auntie," because she believed respect could soften even the hardest hearts. But Auntie Nwanyama's heart was not one that softened easily. She often scolded Azine for little mistakes and blamed her for things she did not do. If water spilled, it was Azine's fault. If the firewood did not light quickly, it was Azine's fault. Even when the children quarreled, she was always the one punished. The neighbors sometimes whispered, "Ha! That poor orphan is really suffering." But Azine never complained. In her heart, she would say, "The gods are watching. One day, my tears will be turned to laughter." There were certain days called Eek days, sacred resting days, when no one was supposed to go to the village stream or to the farm. It was believed that on such days, the river goddess rested, and anyone who went there might anger her. But Auntie Nwanyama cared little for such things. On one particular Ek day, when the sun was still shy and the village air smelled of dew, she called Azine. "Azine," she shouted from her bamboo kitchen. "Yes, Auntie," the girl answered softly, running to her with her hands still wet from washing plates. "Go to the stream and fetch water for me. The clay pots are empty, and your cousins need to bathe." Azine hesitated. "Auntie, today is Eek day, the elders say." Her aunt's eyes narrowed. "Are you the one to teach me about the gods? Haste go and fetch that water before I lose my patience." Azine bowed her head. "Yes, Auntie." She picked up her calabash pot, tied her faded wrapper firmly, and began the long walk to the stream. The path to the stream was quiet that morning. The birds sang softly in the tall trees, and the leaves whispered secrets to the wind. The ground was cool beneath her bare feet, and the scent of wet earth filled the air. Deep in her heart, she was afraid of disobeying the elder's warning. When she reached a bend near the big iroko tree, she saw someone ahead. It was a young man in a light blue wrapper, walking slowly as if enjoying the peace of the morning. He was tall, with smooth dark skin that glowed under the sun. His eyes were kind, and his smile gentle. Zine did not know him, but he looked like someone who did not belong to the farms. He carried himself differently, gracefully, with quiet authority. As she tried to pass, the man turned and said kindly, "Good morning, my sister." "Good morning, sir," she answered, bowing slightly the way her mother taught her to greet elders. "What brings you to the stream so early on an Eek day?" he asked. Azine looked down. "My aunt sent me. She needs water." The man frowned slightly. "But do not you know that the stream rests today?" She nodded. "I know, sir, but I must obey my aunt. If I refuse, she will be angry." The young man smiled gently. "You are a good girl, obedient and respectful. But come, I will walk with you. The road is lonely, and the morning mist can be dangerous." Azine hesitated, but nodded shyly. They walked together, talking softly. The man asked her name. and she told him. He smiled, as in, goodness, a beautiful name for a beautiful heart. When they reached the stream, the girl knelt and greeted the water spirit silently, as her late mother had taught her. The stream sparkled under the rising sun, as though blessing her courage. The man watched quietly as she filled her pot. When she was done, he said, "Me help you carry it." Zine shook her head quickly. "No, sir, I can carry it myself." But he gently took it from her hand, balancing it easily on his strong arm. As they walked back, Zine asked timidly, "Sir, may I know your name?" He smiled again. "My name is Obina." What Ezen did not know was that Obina was not just an ordinary man. He was the prince of Umaka, son of the aging King Udo, who had ruled for many seasons. The prince often disguised himself in simple clothes to walk among the people, to learn how they lived and to find a wife who would love him for who he was, not for his crown. When they reached near the village gate, Obina stopped. "Give me your pot," he said softly. "I will fill it with fresh water from the palace well every morning and bring it to you. You do not need to go to the stream again, especially on sacred days." Ezine's eyes widened in disbelief. "But, sir, I cannot allow you to serve me." Obina laughed quietly. "You are not a servant to kindness. Let it be our secret." And so it began, a quiet friendship between the orphan girl and the hidden prince. Days turned into weeks. Every dawn, Ezine would find a pot of cool, clean water waiting outside her aunt's hut. Her aunt thought the girl had started waking earlier than before and praised her for once. Ezine said nothing. She kept the prince's secret. Sometimes, when the moon was bright, she would meet Obina again by the path near the iroko tree. They would talk about life, dreams, and the meaning of kindness. The prince admired her patience, her wisdom, and her strength. Elsen admired his humility and the way he treated even the poorest villager with respect. Years passed. The king grew old and weak, and the council of elders began to urge the prince to take a wife. "Your father's time is drawing to a close," they said. "It is time you choose your queen, so the throne will not lack an heir."
The entire kingdom buzzed with excitement, every maiden dressed in her finest wrapper, hoping to be chosen. Antini Wanitioma polished her daughters with coconut oil and beads, saying proudly, "One of you will marry the prince. Then we shall see what becomes of that useless orphan." On the day of the ceremony, the palace square overflowed with people. Drummers beat their talking drums. The king sat on his stool, coughing softly but smiling. The prince stood beside him, his royal robe glimmering under the sun. The chief priest raised his staff and shouted, "Let the prince speak. Who among the maidens of Umaka shall be our future queen?" The crowd fell silent. Prince Obina looked around slowly, then raised his hand. "I have already chosen," he said. A murmur spread through the crowd. The priest frowned. "Well, she, my prince." The prince turned toward the crowd. His eyes found Ezine, standing quietly at the back, holding a basket of palm fruits for her aunt. He smiled. "There she is, Ezine, daughter of the late Okonkwo and Adaku, the orphan of Mwaka." The people gasped. Auntie Nyanyoma's jaw dropped. Her daughters looked at one another in disbelief. The prince walked down the steps of the throne, took Ezina's hand gently, and said, "This is the woman who taught me humility, patience, and love. The one who honored her elders even when she was mistreated. If I am to rule this land, I will rule with her by my side." For a moment, there was silence. Then the king nodded slowly, tears glistening in his old eyes. "My son has chosen well. A heart of gold is greater than beauty or wealth." The crowd erupted in cheers. Drums rolled. Women ululated. Children danced. Ezine fell to her knees, trembling. "My prince, I am not worthy." Obina lifted her gently. "You are worthy, more than anyone." From that day, Ezine's life changed. The palace became her new home, and kindness became her crown. She forgave her aunt and even invited her to the wedding feast. Auntie Nwanyoma wept and begged for forgiveness. Ezine smiled and said softly, "Auntie, I hold nothing against you. What you meant for harm, the gods turned for my good." Her words melted hearts across the kingdom. And so, the orphan girl who once fetched water at dawn became the queen who ruled with grace and mercy. Under her reign beside Prince Obina, Umaka prospered. The village stream was named after her, Miri Izin, the water of goodness. Every child in the land grew up hearing her story, the story of a girl who turned suffering into strength and kindness into destiny. Moral of the story: no matter how small or forgotten you feel, the universe sees your heart. Kindness and patience can lift even the poorest soul to greatness. As the elders say, the child that fetches water with a clean heart will one day drink from a golden pot.